She's gone. I couldn't save her, the chief surgeon's voice caught as he dropped his scalpel. They'd all been waiting for answers. The patient's life had hung by a thread, and the hospital's pride, its reputation, teetered on that brink. But inside that operating theatre, amid clattering tools and flickering lights, the chief surgeon shook his head and walked away. The monitors flatlined. Silence swallowed the room. The medical team froze, hearts pounding. They watched in stunned disbelief as the chief surgeon pushed past them, his white coat sweeping behind him, and strode out, abandoning the case. A stunned intern whispered, "Did he just quit? Mid-operation?" In that instant, the hospital's elite breathed a collective gasp. Word rippled down the corridors. The chief had surrendered. There would be no miracle now, yet no one dared act until a single figure stepped from the shadows. Dr. Amina Rizvi, known among her peers as the Renegade, the one who challenged protocol, who stayed late working cases no one else would touch, she stepped forward. She inhaled sharply, there was no time to hesitate, and asked the anesthesiologist to redo the induction, to restore rhythm. No one responded. A hush clung to the room. She called out, "Who's controlling the ventilator?" But no one answered. And then, in a voice both trembling and determined, "I will. I'll take over." In those moments, the backstory came flooding in. Amina had grown up in a small village far from medical centers, watching helplessly as a neighbor died from a treatable infection for lack of care. She'd vowed never to stay silent in the face of despair. She broke norms to claim her place in the surgical world, defied doubters, challenged hierarchy, stayed nights practicing sutures by flashlight. In med school, she whispered dissent when policy threatened patient care. In residency, she took cases others avoided. Many mentors warned her, "You'll burn out." Many peers scorned her, yet she persisted, fueled by that childhood vow. Now, standing before the dying patient, she carried all of that raw fire into the theatre. In that critical grip between life and death, she bypassed prestige and stepped into purpose. She moved swiftly, her hands steady as she re-entered the abdomen, clearing blood and debris, repairing tissue, placing the stents and grafts the chief had abandoned. The surgical team watched. A junior resident gasped. Nurses exchanged wide-eyed glances. She issued precise commands. "Suction here. Clamp that vessel." And the room awakened. Minutes stretched into lifetimes. Every second threatened collapse. Every subtle tremor of her gloves demanded focus. Yet she persisted, navigating anatomy she knew by heart, pushing through swelling, pressure, confusion. Then came the turning point. The major artery threatened to burst. A rupture ripped. The team froze. The patient's blood pressure plunged precipitously. All seemed lost. Amina's eyes flickered, but not in fear. She leaned in, whispering to herself, "You promised." Her fingers closed a patch. Suture by suture, she stabilized the wall. Sparks of relief flickered in the team's eyes. She held the line. She recovered the rhythm. The monitors climbed. Pulse returned. The operating theatre exhaled its own breath. In the aftermath, the chief surgeon re-entered. White coat wrinkled, pride shadowed with shame. He stood frozen in the doorway, scanning the scene. The ultrasound image showing flow. The patient's vital signs climbing. The team gathered around Amina. They all turned toward him. She straightened, breathing hard, sweat glinting in the overhead lights. He swallowed. He mustered, "Dr. Rizvi, you—" He faltered. She met his gaze. "I gave her one last chance," she said, voice steady. "You gave up." "But I couldn't." A hush filled the room, thick with tension, pride, guilt, and respect. The reversal had struck. The once invincible chief surgeon, the figure whose failures were unthinkable, now stood in the shadow of the Renegade. The hospital director, summoned moments before, entered and froze at the doorway. His eyes darted between Amina and her former superior. When he finally spoke, it was Amina's name on his lips. "Dr. Rizvi, what you've done saved her life." He nodded to the staff. "We'll review every detail. But today, you are our hero." The room erupted in murmurs of praise. Nurses applauded, residents cheered, even the chief surgeon bowed his head in silent respect. A sense of justice rippled. Not all victories come from titles, prestige, or rigid hierarchy, but from will, courage, and refusal to quit. In the clearing sunlight of the post-operative wing, Amina stood by the bed. The patient's breathing was strong, color had returned. Her family wept with relief in the waiting room. Amina watched them, tears gathering in her eyes. Later, in a quiet hallway, the chief surgeon approached her. His voice trembling, "I was beaten by my fear. Or by my pride. You stepped in when I couldn't. I'm sorry." He extended a hand. She accepted it, her eyes firm but compassionate. Then she turned to the hospital board and all who watched. "Let this be a lesson," she said, voice echoing in the corridor. "Titles and rank don't cure patients. Courage and action do. When someone gives up, don't accept it. Sometimes all we need is one last chance." That day they renamed the surgery wing hall, at least in whispers, as Amina's corridor. She walked its length, tall, shoulders squared. And though she didn't know it, legends were born, in whispers, in awe, in respect. Before we end this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comment.